There is a very specific hour of the day when the noise of the world finally stops, and you are left with nothing but yourself. It usually happens around 7 or 8 in the evening. The workday is over. The emails have stopped arriving. The distraction of the commute is finished. You walk through your front door, you put your keys on the counter, and you are met with a silence so profound it almost has a physical weight. For some people, this silence is a relief. It is a sanctuary. But if you are carrying the kind of wounds we have been talking about, if you have spent your life running from an abandonment you were always certain was coming, this silence is not a sanctuary. It is a terrifying, gaping void. You used to fill it immediately. You used to turn on the television before you had even taken your coat off, not because you wanted to watch anything, but because you needed the sound of human voices in the room. You used to pick up your phone and scroll through the lives of strangers, numbing your brain with a relentless stream of images that meant nothing to you. You would message someone you knew you should not message, just to see if they would reply, just to prove to yourself that you still existed in someone else's mind. You would look at her social media, even though every time you did, it felt like pressing a bruise. You would do anything, absolutely anything, to avoid being alone with yourself. But you don't do that anymore. You have already sat in the dark with the full weight of your own existence. You have already looked in the mirror and seen the hurt little boy who didn't feel like he was enough, who felt abandoned, who felt unworthy of love. You have already looked at him and accepted him and told him that it was going to be okay. The raw, aching devastation is behind you. The hollowness in your chest has begun to fill. Now, you are standing in a different kind of silence. It is no longer the silence of survival. It is the silence of discovery. This is the hour that used to break you. This is the hour that used to send you back to relationships you knew were wrong for you, because any connection, even a toxic one, even a hollow one, felt better than the alternative. But you survived that hour. And because you survived it, you are now standing on the threshold of something beautiful. You are learning the profound difference between loneliness and solitude. And understanding this difference might be the most important thing you ever learn. Because when you are alone, the adrenaline of performance wears off. The mask you wear for the world, the competent professional, the easygoing friend, the person who has it all together, slips. And what is left underneath is the raw, aching reality of a nervous system that does not feel safe. We often mistake this feeling for loneliness. We think, I feel this way because there is no one here. If someone were sitting on that sofa, if someone were cooking dinner in that kitchen, if my phone would just light up with a message, this terrible feeling would go away. And so we spend our lives chasing connection, not out of a genuine desire to know another human being, but out of a desperate need to escape the terrifying landscape of our own solitude. Loneliness is a state of deficiency. It is the feeling that something essential is missing from your life, and that you cannot be whole until you find it. It is the conviction that you are half a person, waiting for the other half to arrive. Solitude, on the other hand, is a state of presence. It is the quiet, dignified recognition that you are already whole, and that your own company is not a punishment but a privilege. To move from loneliness to solitude is perhaps the most difficult journey a human being can make, because it requires you to stop running. It requires you to sit in the empty room, turn off the television, put down the phone, and face the very thing you have spent your entire life trying to avoid. Why is it so hard? Why does sitting alone in a quiet room feel for some of us like a matter of life and death? To understand this, we have to look at the biology of attachment. Gabor Maté explains that for a human infant, connection is not a luxury, it is a biological imperative. A baby cannot survive without a caregiver. If an infant is left alone, it will die. Therefore, the infant's nervous system is wired to interpret separation as a literal threat to its survival. When a baby cries because it is left alone in a room, it is not being manipulative or demanding. It is experiencing a biological panic. Its nervous system is screaming, I am alone, therefore I am in danger. If you grew up in an environment where your caregivers were consistently present, attuned and responsive, your nervous system learned that separation was temporary and safe. You learned that when people leave, they come back. You learned that you could exist as a separate entity and still be loved. You learned that being alone was not the same as being abandoned. But if you grew up in an environment where connection was fragile, if a parent was physically absent or emotionally unavailable, or if their love was conditional and unpredictable, your nervous system never learned that safety. It learned that separation was dangerous. It learned that being alone meant being abandoned, and being abandoned meant annihilation. Maybe your father left, and the silence he left behind became the shape of every silence since. Maybe your mother was there, but her eyes were always somewhere else. On the television, on the bottle, on the argument she was replaying in her mind. Maybe the house was full of people, but you were invisible in it. Maybe love came and went like weather, and you learned to read the sky before you learned to read a book. You carry that nervous system into adulthood. You may be 30, 40, or 50 years old. You may live in a secure flat, have a steady income, and be perfectly capable of feeding and sheltering yourself. But when you're left alone in the evening, when the distractions fall away, the terrified child inside you takes over the control room. Your heart rate elevates, your chest tightens. A low-grade hum of anxiety begins to vibrate in your stomach. Your hands feel restless, your mind races. Your body is reacting as if it has been abandoned on the savannah, surrounded by predators. This is why you cannot simply think your way out of loneliness. You cannot tell yourself, I am an adult, I am safe, and expect the panic to subside. You are not fighting a logical thought, you are fighting a biological imperative. Your body is fighting a war that ended decades ago, but no one told your nervous system the ceasefire was signed. When you understand this, the desperation with which you seek out distraction begins to make sense. Of course you scroll until your eyes ache. Of course you stay in relationships that diminish you. Of course you say yes to invitations you do not want to accept. Of course you held on to something long after it stopped holding on to you. You are not weak, you are not pathetic. You are simply trying to survive a nervous system that is convinced you are in danger. But here is the devastating truth. As long as you treat your solitude as an enemy to be defeated, you will never be free. As long as you use other people as a human shield against your own emptiness, you will never truly love them. You will only use them. You will cling to them, not for who they are, but for what they provide. A temporary reprieve from the terrifying silence of your own mind. To break this cycle, you have to do the one thing your nervous system is screaming at you not to do. You have to stay. Pema Chödrön, the Buddhist teacher, speaks of the wisdom of no escape. She teaches that when we experience the sharp, itchy, unbearable discomfort of being alone, when the panic rises and the urge to reach for a distraction becomes overwhelming, we must learn to sit right in the middle of it. We must not run. We must not numb. We must simply stay. Imagine you are sitting on your sofa. The silence is heavy. The panic begins to rise in your chest. Your hand instinctively twitches toward your phone. That is the moment of choice. That is the sharp point. Instead of picking up the phone, what if you just sat there? What if you placed your hand over your heart, closed your eyes, and simply observed the sensation in your body? Not judged it, not tried to fix it, not told yourself a story about what it means. Just watched it, the way you would watch a wave approaching the shore. What if you said to the terrified child inside you, I know you are scared. I know this feels like abandonment. I know this feels like death, but we are safe. I am here, and I am not going to abandon you. Not tonight, not ever. The first time you do this, it will be excruciating. Your mind will rebel. It will throw up every possible distraction, every reason to move, every argument for why this is pointless. Your body will demand that you do something, anything, to change the channel. But if you can stay with it, if you can breathe through the panic without trying to fix it, something miraculous begins to happen. The wave of terror crests, and then slowly, it begins to break. The adrenaline recedes. The physical tension in your chest begins to loosen. Your breathing deepens. You realize that the feeling did not kill you. You survived the silence. And in that survival, a tiny, fragile seed of trust is planted. Not trust in another person, trust in yourself. You begin to trust that you can hold your own pain. You begin to trust that you do not need another human being to regulate your nervous system. You begin to realize that you are your own safe harbor. When you no longer need another person to rescue you from your own mind, something extraordinary happens. You stop using people. You stop treating relationships as life rafts. You stop tolerating disrespect because the alternative is being alone. You stop reaching for someone who is no longer there because the silence of your flat feels worse than the ache of their absence. You begin to choose people because you want them, not because you need them to survive the evening. And this is where the poet Rainer Maria Rilke offers us a profound shift in perspective. Rilke believed that solitude was not a punishment to be endured, but a vast, quiet space where we finally meet ourselves. In his letters, he wrote that a human being must learn to love their solitude and bear the pain it causes them, because only in solitude can we truly discover who we are. Think about that for a moment. Not just tolerate your solitude, not just survive it, love it. Love the silence, love the space, love the fact that no one is asking anything of you, that no one needs you to perform, that for once in your life you can simply exist without justification. Rilke argued that most people rush into relationships because they are terrified of their own emptiness. They merge with another person before they have even formed a self. They hand over the keys to their identity and say, "Here, you define me because I cannot bear to define myself." And so, the relationship becomes a mutual escape from loneliness, rather than a genuine meeting of two whole human beings. Two half-people clinging to each other, each hoping the other will provide the wholeness they cannot find alone. You have been in that relationship. And when it ended, when the thing you feared most actually happened, you found yourself standing in the wreckage with a choice that most people never make. You could have rushed into the next escape. You could have downloaded the app, swiped through the faces, found someone new to fill the silence. But you did not. Something in you knew, perhaps for the first time, that the loss was not just a loss. It was a doorway. Not one you would have chosen to walk through, but one that opened anyway. And instead of running from it, you stepped inside. You stayed alone, not because you wanted to, but because some quiet, stubborn part of you understood that this was the work you had been avoiding your entire life. And because you bore the initial pain of being alone, because you sat through the panic and the discomfort and the terrible, aching silence, the emptiness has begun to change shape. It has stopped feeling like a void and started feeling like space. It has stopped feeling like a lack of someone else and started feeling like the presence of you. The room is no longer empty, it is quiet, and quiet is not the same as empty. You begin to notice things you never noticed before. The way the light falls through your window in the late afternoon. The sound of rain on the roof when you are not trying to drown it out with noise. The pleasure of reading a book without interruption, of cooking a meal slowly, of walking through a park with nowhere to be and no one to perform for. You begin to discover that you are interesting, that your thoughts are worth having, that your feelings are worth sitting with, that the person you have been running from your entire life is actually someone worth knowing. You rediscover the things you loved before you made your entire identity about another person. The music you used to listen to before you started listening to theirs. The hobbies you abandoned because there was never enough time, because their needs always came first, because you had forgotten that your own joy was not selfish but essential. You pick up the guitar that has been gathering dust in the corner. You go for a run at 6 in the morning, not to punish your body, but because the world is quiet and the air is cold and your legs remember what it feels like to move without purpose. You start to feel the edges of yourself again. Not the version of you that was shaped by someone else's expectations, but the raw, unedited, original version. The one that existed before the wound. The one that has been waiting patiently for you to come home. This is the transition from loneliness to solitude. Loneliness is sitting in an empty room and wishing someone were there. Solitude is sitting in an empty room and realizing that you are there and that you are enough. And how do you begin to inhabit that space? How do you move from simply enduring your own company to actually enjoying it? This is where the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh become invaluable. He teaches that presence is the ultimate act of self-love. We spend so much of our lives waiting for someone else to make an ordinary moment special. We wait for a partner to light candles or pour wine or set the table. We treat ourselves as secondary characters in our own lives, waiting for the protagonist to arrive. But Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us that we can bring reverence to our own lives right now. You do not need an audience to experience beauty. You do not need a witness to make a moment sacred. Imagine making a cup of tea. If you are lonely, making a cup of tea is a chore. It is a reminder that you are making it only for yourself. You boil the water impatiently. You throw the tea bag in a mug. You drink it while scrolling on your phone, barely tasting it, trying not to think about the fact that no one is sitting across from you. But what if you made that cup of tea with the same care and attention you would give to an honored guest? What if you chose your favorite mug, the one that feels right in your hands? What if you listened to the sound of the water boiling, watched the steam rise and felt the warmth of the ceramic against your palms? What if you sat down without your phone, without the television, and simply drank the tea, tasted it, felt it, let it be enough? In that moment, you are not lonely. You are profoundly accompanied. You are accompanied by yourself. You are treating your own presence as worthy of attention, worthy of care, worthy of reverence. And that small, quiet act of self-regard is more healing than 1,000 distractions. This is how you reclaim your life, not by grand, sweeping gestures, not by immediately feeling perfectly fine with being alone, but by small, deliberate acts of presence. You start setting the table for one instead of eating over the sink. You buy yourself the flowers you used to wait for someone else to buy you. You take yourself to the cinema, to the museum, to the restaurant, and you refuse to apologize for taking up space as a single human being. You stop treating your life as a waiting room for the next relationship. You begin to cook meals that take longer than 5 minutes because you are worth the effort. You chop the vegetables slowly. You put music on, your music, not theirs. You plate the food properly, not on a paper towel, but on a real plate, because you deserve to eat like a human being who matters. You begin to keep your space clean and beautiful, not because someone might visit, but because you live there. You light a candle on a Tuesday night for no reason other than the fact that you are alive and the flame is beautiful and no one needs to witness it for it to count. You begin to go to bed at a reasonable hour because your body deserves rest, not because you're trying to fast forward through the loneliness to get to the morning. You start a journal, not because a therapist told you to, but because the thoughts in your head need somewhere to go, and for the first time you're curious about what they have to say. You take long walks without your earphones and you discover that the world has a soundtrack of its own. Birdsong, wind, the distant hum of a city that does not know your name and does not need to. And slowly, so slowly, you almost do not notice it happening, the panic begins to fade. The evenings become less terrifying. The silence becomes less oppressive. You stop reaching for your phone the moment you walk through the door. You stop dreading the weekends. You begin to look forward to Saturday mornings, the coffee, the quiet, the luxury of having nowhere to be and no one to answer to. Because here is the truth that no one tells you. The relationship you have with yourself is the only one you are guaranteed to have for the rest of your life. Every other person, no matter how much they love you, no matter how much you love them, is temporary. They will leave, or they will change, or they will die. The only person who will be with you for every single breath you take, from the moment you are born to the moment you leave this earth, is you. If you cannot bear your own company, how can you expect anyone else to? If you treat your own presence as a burden to be escaped, how can you ever truly believe that someone else finds it a joy? Learning to be alone without being lonely is the ultimate act of liberation. It frees you from the desperate, exhausting cycle of chasing connection to avoid yourself. It allows you to enter relationships from a place of wholeness rather than a place of lack. It gives you the power to walk away from tables where love is no longer being served, because you know, deep in your bones, that you will not starve if you have to eat alone. And when love does come again, and it will, you will meet it differently. You will not clutch at it with the desperate grip of someone who is drowning. You will hold it gently, the way you hold something precious that you know you could survive without, but choose to cherish anyway. That is the difference between needing someone and loving them. And it is a difference that changes everything. You have spent so much of your life running from the silence, running from the empty room, running from the terrified child inside you who was convinced that being alone meant being unloved. But you do not have to run anymore. The war is over. The danger has passed. The abandonment you were bracing for already happened long ago when you were too small to understand it. And you survived it. You are here. You can stop. You can turn around. You can look at the empty room and you can walk inside. It will be quiet. It will be still. And at first it might be uncomfortable. But if you stay, if you truly stay, you will discover something beautiful. You will discover that the room is not empty at all. It is full of you, your thoughts, your breath, your heartbeat, your history, your potential, your quiet, stubborn, miraculous aliveness. And you are enough. You have always been enough. This is your permission to finally rest. This is your permission to stop performing for an audience that is not there. This is your permission to sit in the quiet and breathe and know that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are not behind, you are not broken, and you are not lonely. You are simply finally home.